When I said the live, I'll let you know because I'll see it quicker than you. Good morning, good morning. Pets or regrets, James Lamplower.
Good morning. I've been forgetting to use this the last couple of days, Mark. I just realised.
Action.
Pretend to be Burge again. Good morning. How are you this morning?
Good, bud. We're going to have this morning a talk about making some money out of your property. And it's a question that's always asked reluctantly by landlords. Should they put in air conditioning or should they allow pets in their property? Have a look at the screen of what's on here at the moment. So tenants' most searched keywords, according to realestate.com. I couldn't believe when I saw this officially from realestate.com.au. They have verified the most searched thing on their website, apart from bedrooms, bathrooms, suburbs, and stuff like that, how many bathrooms, stuff like that, the most searched thing on realestate.com at the moment in the entire of Australia is the word air conditioning and also the word pets. They're the two things that people really, really, really want to know. So the question is, is it worth, to invest that sort of money into an air conditioning unit, how much it'll cost, blah, 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 blah. Is it worth investing into the risk of a dog damaging your property or a cat peeing everywhere in your property? James, what do you reckon?
Look, it sounds bad on the surface, having a pet that could potentially ruin your house. But what you're doing is you're closing the door to a massive amount of people that would be looking at your property. And if that shuts the door, you've lost that market and that's not coming back. So from the pet point of things, if you can be open-minded, if you can maybe pencil something in there about your ingoing and outgoing condition for an extra layer of insurance, then you should absolutely go for it because you're opening the doors wider and wider to a bigger market.
Well, mate, the problem is that a lot of landlords have just been used to saying no for 10 years or 20 years, and that's just normal. But the market's changed. I think with COVID and stuff like that, people are spending more time at home. I think people are more probably, I'd love to know through COVID what pet ownership has done. If I had a guess, I reckon pet ownership has definitely increased because if you're at home by yourself, want a bit of entertainment, I think that a little small dog, cat, whatever, is a great idea. So I'll just get you to pull that screen down when you're ready. So, guys and girls, another big thing that you got to understand, and this is how big the proportion is, that there's a couple of different stats that we pulled out this morning for the show about pet ownership. James, you had an RSPCA one or a New South Wales one or something?
Yeah, RSPCA have said that about 61% of families in Australia are owning household pets. So that's quite a broad range. But if you're thinking that only 40% of people aren't having a single pet whatsoever, you've got a massive percentage of that population. And if you're a landlord looking to get eyeballs on your property when it's up on the market, if you haven't got these boxes ticked, if you haven't got pets and air conditioning in your search bar, then you're closing that door, which you wouldn't want to do. You'd be,
which is really interesting because we're very quick to feature, parking and feature other things in a property or a built-in wardrobe. But built-in wardrobes aren't being searched on realestate.com.au. Pets are being searched on realestate.com.au. So I think as an industry, if you're choosing an agent, you've got to choose an agent, Mr. Landlord, that understands this. Yeah. It's going to be an opportunity to get a better price for the property. Another figure that I saw was OneForm, which are the people that process majority of rental applications in Australia. So that's where a tenant will fill out all their details for an agent.
All through realestate.com.
And that goes through realestate.com. They say that 20% of their applicants have stated that they wish to have a pet. They have also said off the record, on the record now, that there's probably another 20%. And then with that figure that you're quoting, 60%, it could even be greater again. So this is big.
That's right.
Have you got a pussy or a dog at home?
I've got two little puppies. Yeah. So we're well and truly in love with them. We wouldn't go to a place without them. So, you know, from our personal experiences, if you've got pets like that, your first priority is making sure that these things are opportunities for you. If no pets is not allowed from the get-go, straight on to the next one, and especially air conditioning as well. That's a whole other story. But yeah, if there wasn't pets allowed, no chance.
Right. Now, air conditioning, the cost of an air conditioning, to be able to market an air conditioning, even, and what I mean by that is if you've got a 5-bedroom home, you don't necessarily have to have both levels, all 3 living areas, the bloody garage, all the bedrooms, all air conditioned. You can just have some main areas air conditioned.
Yeah.
Now, the cost of air conditioning, typically, I just drove past our air conditioning mechanic, actually. There he is. He just went past. But I'm in the Warringah Mall car park, just doing circles. Yeah, I don't drive on the road. And he's doing circles as well. So this is air conditioning George, we call him. He does a lot of air conditioning for our landlords. A 2-bedroom unit, split system, typically would cost anywhere between sort of $2,000 to $3,000 to have a split system go in. Daikin is a great brand of aircon to go in. They seem to be the most reliable, good for parts. That's also what Air Conditioning George installs. They seem to be pretty trouble-free these days. As real estate agents, we used to be fixing bloody air conditionings all the time, but now they're pretty reliable, hey?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be an issue nowadays, and it's not the biggest outlay to find a tenant quicker, maybe fetch a slightly higher return, and have more people thinking long-term about your property than short-term.
And certainly, again, if you've just tuned in, guys, what we're talking about is the 2 most searched keywords on realestate.com.au in Australia are air conditioning and pets. They're the 2 big ones. So you've really got to make sure that you're accommodating this. The industry's got to start advertising this much stronger than what we do, because it's funny. The things that we actually feature on realestate.com are less important. The people are voting with their searches, and that's what they're voting for. But how much more do you reckon you'll get for a property with aircon or that'll allow a pet?
Well, it's a good question. I think we've sort of touched on this a little bit, and maybe if you're allowing a pet when you weren't previously, maybe someone will offer you 10 or 20 bucks extra to allow them in. You pair that up with air conditioning as well. I don't know. Does that possibly come to 50 bucks extra a week on a nice property? Or maybe not so much?
I reckon that's for a unit. I reckon probably 10, 20 bucks for a pet, 10, 20 bucks for an aircon.
Yeah.
I also think it rents quicker. How do you put a figure on that? Do you know what I mean? If it typically takes to rent out the property 7 days, and now it typically takes 3 days to rent it out because you're accommodating your market. Yeah. That's if it's $600 a week, well, that's 50 bucks. That's 50. That's 150 bucks every time you go to relet the property that you're renting out faster. Then you're potentially renting it for more. So there's another 500 to 1,000 bucks. You're starting to get real clever, really.
That's right. So yeah, for the landlords, it's definitely.
Sorry, mate, just cut out.
That's all right. Definitely something worth looking into, isn't it? If you haven't allowed the pets in your apartment, maybe you can rethink it. Something just to run yourself through, and air conditioning as well. If you haven't got it, just consider the benefits of putting it in there for the long term. Something interesting that came out yesterday, Mark, from realestate.com was there are more eyeballs on the website at this point in time than there ever have been in the past. So they're logging more users, more IP addresses every single day. So there's lots of people, especially whilst we've got more time at the moment with COVID, looking through, spending a little bit of extra time on their searches. So these little details are really important. And
I used the word, I think it was yesterday, urbanization. Yeah. People are spreading to the suburbs from CBDs more than ever. They're not interested in the high rise as much, and the cafes, the restaurants, the properties in the burbs are doing better. So I think, if you want to understand, if you're a landlord and you want to understand your market a little bit better, think about the biggest searched keywords in the industry: pets and air conditioning. And one other thing before we sign out: getting your property trashed by a pet.
It doesn't happen that often, does it?
That's the thing. I want to share that number with you. So we're managing 3,000 landlords and tenants, right? From that number as an agency, from that number, a pet dispute, and this is where a dog may chew a door, and the tenant won't pay for it, I would say would be less than 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah.
Tenants misbehave more than pets.
That's right, far more.
Right.
You can trust your pets a lot more. Yeah.
That's the data. That's the data with us.
Yeah.
Tenants are misbehaving more than pets. Now, people are pretty good and pretty understanding that if their pet's made the mistake, that they've got to pay for it, out of a bond or out of a repair that we pick up on a repair that we pick up on a routine inspection.
Yeah.
So that hopefully that answers a couple of people's questions, because why would you be so no to pets or no to air conditioning when you got these sort of facts in front of you from today?
Yeah. Look, it's all about quality of life, isn't it? For everyone, that's one of their, well, everyone's different, but everyone's after a good quality of life. And if having a pet in your home is going to improve that, and certainly having an aircon in Australia is definitely going to improve that, it's beneficial for the landlord to keep their eyes open to these little tricks that will help to get their properties rented, higher returns, more.
Absolutely. Well, mate, thank you. One more thing that I thought about as well before we sign out: noisy pets.
What was that? Sorry?
Noisy pets.
Noisy pets. Barking
did you
dogs.
Do that? Did you say what was that? Sorry, on purpose. I said noisy. Yeah, what? So yeah, one thing as well. Basically, it's the same thing as a person. If you're having parties in a unit and you're disrupting people in your unit block, you're going to get a warning letter. You're going to get fined, and out you go. Council will issue fines on the back of that, as well for pets. So again, only thing would be a barking dog, wouldn't it? I don't think you get a pussycat's very noisy.
No,
Birds, I don't think you get too noisy. But certainly the yappy dogs. And I think council will actually also sell you a spray collar, where it'll, we've got, I bought a couple for the office.
Yeah, right. Who's that going on?
Me. So yeah, those spray collars. So they put the collar around the dog's neck, and every time the dog actually barks, it sprays a little mist of sanitizer. That sprays a little bit of a mist, so they actually stop barking, and you can set the level as to how loud they can bark before the sprays diffuse. Yeah. So it's.
Have they worked in past experience? Have you ever used it?
100%.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think pet lovers morally sometimes are a bit challenged by that. They think it's a little bit mean.
Yeah.
But I think if you're a neighbour, you disagree heavily, because some of these pets are pretty noisy, eh?
Well, that's it. And if you're in a building like a unit block or something like that, where you are amongst lots of people, very close, you have to be sensitive about these things and be, mindful of people near you. So, yeah, if you do have a loud barking dog, maybe that's something to bear in mind, because you've probably got some neighbours that are a little bit unhappy with you at the moment.
And it's always when you're not there, so you're like, what's the problem?
Yeah. Well, that's right, exactly. And they probably don't even notice as a problem. They're just so used to it. But again, there's thinking of others at the same time, isn't it? Not just thinking of yourself.
That's it. So guys and girls, that's Pets Today. Realestate.com.au have acknowledged it as the most searched keyword: pets and air conditioning. You want to make money in your investment property, accommodate pets and air conditioning. James, thank you very much, buddy.
My pleasure. Let's have a good day.
Everyone, love ya. See ya. Bye.
Yeah.